All-Star Western number 17, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Moritat. So, pretty much the start of a new arc entirely, post Black Diamond probability. We open up in the founding of Gotham, people coming in by the boatload and having to pack into itty-bitty little living spaces. And 100 years later, wouldn't you know it, there's an outbreak of cholera. And a bunch of people just ran out of the city. The people who couldn't left to die there. The most densely packed and rundown area was called Death's Doorstep. And so they literally built a quarantine that, like a giant wall was built and just cordoned off a part of the city and left those people to die. And nobody would ever be crazy enough to go in there except for Jonah Hex and co. as they are currently making their way deep into this skeleton-ridden area where death is around every turn. But lo and behold, our story does not actually begin there. It begins in the spring of that year, before cholera outbreaks, and a man shows up to arrive from a foreign land, and I'm just going to skip the preamble. It's Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage shows up. If you're not reading Demon Knights, go read Demon Knights. So he shows up and he starts elbow rubbing with everybody in the city. Everyone knows him, and he makes some big power plays. He moseys on up with the Cobblepots and the Court of Owls, and everyone knows he's bad news. He gives off just an aura of death, but nobody calls him on it or does anything about it. And one night he goes into the Wayne Casino and he just starts making bank. And Alan Wayne steps up and he's like, hello, sir. I do not recognize you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Alan Wayne. I run this casino. And he's like, my name is Vandal Savage. You have a wonderful casino here. And he's like, yes, of course. I can't place your accent. Where are you from? And he's like, I've been around the block a few times. I most recently just came from Africa hunting lions. So maybe I still have a bit of that on my tongue. He's like, yes, quite. Anyway, I have a poker game, a very inclusive one in my private lounge upstairs. If you would like to come up there, we can cash out your chips. And he's like, oh, well, I wouldn't want to kick anybody out of your game. He's like, actually, we just so happen to have a spare seat. So why don't you come on up? And he's like, yes, of course. Though I do have to warn you, Mr. Savage, we do have somebody with quite an ill temperament there. And then we cut to Jonah Hex with a gun to Vandal Savage, just calling him out for being a cheater. And he's just like, geez, mister, I don't know what you thought this was a friendly game. And we see Catherine Wayne telling Jonah to put the gun away, there will be no murder in her husband's casino. And Jonah, is just super pissed, saying how much he's a cheater. And he packs up his stuff and walks out and tells Catherine, you want to keep an eye on him. He's bad news. And then Vandal comes up and starts schmoozing on Catherine, being like, you're such a magnificent woman. Wouldn't it be nice if I could win you in this game? And Alan's like, no. Let's not even joke about that stuff. This is my darling and beloved wife who is definitely loyal to me. And Catherine's like, yes, of course I'm definitely loyal. And Vandal Savage is like, of course. And I hope to one day find a wife as loyal as you. But alas, it seems you've made it a lot harder to do so. So anyway, then the cholera broke out at some point, and we see the mayor had apparently banned the giving of food or any sort of rations to the people in there, but Catherine Wayne was like, I can't stand by and let that happen. So she every day went and lowered in food over the barricaded walls. But then one day she fell in, and all the people there then immediately grabbed her and essentially took her hostage for more supplies and doctors to be provided. And Alan Wayne is losing his mind. He's like, the mayor won't step in and help. I got to do this my own way. And plans on sending in Jonah Hex, Dr. Arkham, because, of course, Dr. Arkham just has to be there, and a world-famous tracker and marksman. And Hex is like, I work best alone, but fine. If you want me to go in there, I'll go in there. However, I genuinely have a very fair chance of dying, so I want 30% of your casino if I get out. And Wayne's like, done, do it. So they make their way in, as we saw at the beginning of the issue. And all of a sudden they're attacked by what essentially seems to be a zombie horde. These people theoretically have cholera, but they're attacking and biting a lot. And we see them biting the marksman and the tracker immediately. And Arkham's like, this doesn't seem like cholera. I'm not sure what this is yet, but it doesn't seem like cholera. But Arkham is just telling Hex, like, get us out of here, man. Get us off the streets. I trust you with my life, and I need you to do that. And so they get into a building and run their way up to the roof in order to see a place where they could take safe haven. And Hex basically keeps on going, like, this isn't cholera. This seems a lot closer to, like, rabies, you know? This is something similar to that. And at that point, he's like, I have no idea how it could get to a scale like this, but you're the doctor, so you figure it out. So Hex looks over the skyline. He sees a bank halfway across town, still technically in the cordoned off area. And he's like, all right, we got to make it there, and we got to seal ourselves in because they won't be able to get into the bank's security system. So they keep making their way. He's firing behind them the whole time. And as they make their way to the bank, they see a man who is just lying dead on like a pile of bodies. And he's still alive. He's still got a little bit of life left in him. But it ain't cholera that's what's killed him. And he says, like, oh, he only took her, or sorry, they claim that they're the ones who took Catherine. He's like, oh, we only took her to get some health. We weren't ever going to hurt her, but they don't have her anymore. And it turns out that Vandal Savage has taken Catherine Wayne hostage. And we see him basically standing in a grandiose pose. And he's like, oh, you're mad, Savage. And Savage is like, he just reads off this like Shakespearean sounding quote about how basically he was the one who brought the plague into Gotham. Like, the disease was able to live in him because it wouldn't kill him. He's an immortal. But it would kill everyone else in Gotham. So he was basically death, destroyer of worlds. He's constantly just like, places he showed up, a lot of people died just by virtue of him having plague in him. So, yeah, that's it. That's the issue. It's good. I think it does a great job of setting up Vandal Savage, not only as A, the savage that he is, but B, this threat, just by virtue of him being around, Gotham is worse. Like, it is turning into a worse place. Strictly, I mean, obviously it's because of the plague, but you have to imagine in those sorts of days, it's just kind of like an aura that he gives off. Like, just him being there, all the places he treads, people die, even if he doesn't kill them directly. I like that for a character. One issue I do have to throw at this book, though, it is prose. It is just very, very long sentences in very large caption boxes describing everything I'm saying to you. Honestly, this book probably has more words in it than I have used in this review. It is a very wordy book, and I didn't have a problem with that at the beginning of this book, but it is really starting to rear its head now. So I would like it to take just a step back on that and maybe, you know, like a normal comic book, have characters talk to each other, but like less. So yeah, that's my only real gripe. Overall, I would still give this issue, I give it like a 7.5. It's good. It's a solid issue. Not amazingly great, but it's setting up Vandal Savage as this larger than life threat who's able to just bring death everywhere he goes.